I built a $2 billion fashion empire after my parents laughed at my dreams. Now they're crawling back because I bought out every store that caters to them and cut them off completely. Welcome back to the family, I guess. If you're new here, hit subscribe and drop a hi in the comments. I'm always curious to know where you're watching from. Anyway, let's get back to the story. I stood in my childhood bedroom, tears streaming down my face as my mother's voice echoed through the hallway. You're throwing your life away on those ridiculous drawings, Emily. No daughter of mine is going to embarrass this family with some silly fashion fantasy. My hands were shaking as I clutched my portfolio. 5 years of designs, mood boards, and business plans. I was 23 and this was supposed to be my big break. Instead, it felt like my breaking point. My father appeared in the doorway, his expression like ice. Your sister Donna graduated medical school. Your brother Orlando just made partner at his law firm. And you want to play with fabric? He actually laughed. We didn't sacrifice everything to raise a failure. Those words hit harder than any punch. My siblings stood behind him, smirking like they knew something I didn't. Donna crossed her arms, all smug. Face it, Emily, you're not special. You never were. Orlando nodded in agreement. Mom and Dad are right. It's time to grow up and get a real job. Maybe retail. At least you'd be around clothes. I remember the exact second something inside me snapped and hardened into something else. I'll prove you wrong, I whispered, barely audible. My mother scoffed like I just told the lamest joke ever. Prove us wrong, sweetheart? You can barely afford rent. You're living in our basement because you blew your savings on fabric and a busted sewing machine. You're 23 with absolutely nothing to show for it. That night I packed everything. Every sketch, every dream, every little piece of myself they tried to crush. As I was loading my car, my father yelled out like he was doing me a favor. Don't come crawling back when reality hits you. I didn't look back. I couldn't. If I had, they would have seen me crumble. I slept in my car for 3 weeks. Every morning, I'd wake up in the parking lot of a 24-hour gym, use their showers, and then spend my days at the library, grinding away at my business plan. My bank account balance was a whopping $237. I'd applied to 43 fashion positions and received 43 rejections. Maybe my family was right. Maybe I was living in a fantasy world. On day 24, I was sketching in a coffee shop, trying to make my single black coffee last 4 hours, when an older woman sat across from me. Those are remarkable, she said, gesturing to my designs. I looked up to see a pair of elegant gray eyes studying my work. Thank you, I mumbled, instinctively closing my portfolio like it was something to be ashamed of. Don't hide them. I'm Vivian Davis and I've been in fashion for 35 years. I own a boutique manufacturing company. She slid her card across the table. I've seen thousands of designers. You have something rare, a distinct voice. Are you trained? Self-taught? I admitted that I couldn't afford fashion school. I'm currently between situations, I said, figuring that euphemism sounded a little better than homeless. Vivian studied me for a long moment, like she was trying to see right through me. I'm looking for a design assistant. It pays enough to afford a small apartment. Interested? Tears welled up in my eyes. Why would you offer this to a stranger? She smiled knowingly. Because 20 years ago, someone took a chance on me when I was sleeping in my car too. I recognized desperation mixed with determination. It's a powerful combination. I started the next day. Vivian became more than just a mentor. She became the mother I desperately needed. She taught me the business side of fashion, introduced me to manufacturers, and most importantly, she actually believed in me. When my family called months later, my mother wanting to check in, I kept the conversation short and sweet. I wasn't ready to share my baby victories with the people who had celebrated my failures. 2 years into working with Vivian, I launched my first small collection. 20 pieces, all designed late at night in my tiny studio apartment. I called the line Phoenix Rising. Maybe it was a little dramatic, but it felt right. I'd convinced a small boutique to carry 5 pieces on consignment. If they didn't sell, I'd lose the $1,500 I'd invested in materials. They sold out in 3 days. The boutique owner, Maria, called me practically screaming. I need more. Everything. Whatever you can make. My clients are demanding your pieces. I literally forgot how to breathe. Vivian found me hyperventilating in the workroom. This is it, Emily. This is your moment. Don't waste it being scared. We scaled up production. I took out a small business loan for $7,000. Felt like $7 million. 6 months later, my pieces were in 15 boutiques across 5 cities. The money wasn't life-changing yet, but it was real. I was actually doing it. Late one night, exhausted and covered in thread, I almost called my mother to share the news. Almost. Then I remembered her laughter, my father's dismissal, and I put the phone down. My brother Orlando found me instead. He showed up at Vivian's workshop unannounced. Mom sent me to talk some sense into you. This little hobby needs to end. You're embarrassing the family. People are asking about you and we don't know what to say. I stared at him, carefully choosing my words. Tell them I'm building an empire. Then leave and don't come back. His face twisted in disgust. You think you're special now? You're selling a few dresses. That's not success, Emily. That's luck. It won't last. I smiled then, a cold, sharp smile. Watch me. 3 years after leaving, I got the call that changed everything. New York Fashion Week wanted me. Not in the audience but as a designer. My collection would be shown in a small slot. Yes, it was a small start, but I'd be there. I'd be real. Vivian cried when I told her. I knew it. From that first day in the coffee shop, I knew. Preparing for Fashion Week almost destroyed me. I worked 18-hour days, fueled by coffee and sheer stubbornness, and maxed out every credit card. My collection was called Unbreakable. 25 pieces that told a story of resilience through fabric and form. Each piece represented a moment I'd almost given up, but didn't. The night before the show, my phone rang. It was Donna. Duh, I heard you're showing at Fashion Week. Mom and Dad want tickets. They want to support you now. The audacity made me laugh out loud. Now they want to support me? Tell them no. Tell them they had their chance. She sighed, ever the condescending older sister. You're being petty, Emily. Family should forgive. Family should believe. I countered, my voice tight. Family should support dreams, not crush them. They told me I'd fail. Let them watch from home. I hung up. My hands shook for an hour afterward, but I didn't regret it. They didn't deserve to witness my triumph when they'd celebrated my struggles. The show was transcendent. Critics called my work revolutionary and emotionally raw. Vogue mentioned me. Buyers fought over pieces. Orders flooded in. $200,000 in a single week. I remember standing backstage, completely overwhelmed, when Vivian hugged me tight. Your family's missing this. That's their loss, not yours. But even then, part of me, the daughter who'd craved their approval her entire life, wished they could see me now. The next 2 years were a whirlwind of success. My brand Phoenix Couture exploded. Thanks to the Fashion Week exposure, I secured contracts with 3 major department stores. Revenue hit $3 million the first year. Then $12 million the second. I hired a team, designers, marketers, accountants. I moved from my cramped studio apartment to a real office space with floor-to-ceiling windows. My designs resonated because they told stories. Every collection explored themes of resilience, identity, and transformation. Black women especially connected with my work. I made clothing for bodies that high fashion often ignored, in sizes the industry pretended didn't exist. My price points ranged from accessible to luxury, democratizing style without sacrificing quality. Vivian became my business partner and CFO. You're building something important, she told me during a late-night planning session. This isn't just fashion. You're creating representation. She was right. My runways featured models of every size, age, and shade. Critics called it refreshing. I called it necessary. Then came the Forbes article. Emily Williams, Fashion's Rising Phoenix. They estimated my company's worth at $28 million. $28 million. The girl who'd slept in her car now employed 60 people. I should have felt victorious. Instead, I felt hollow. Success meant nothing when the people who were supposed to cheer you on had tried to tear you down. My mother called after the Forbes piece came out. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail. We saw the article, sweetheart. We're so proud. Call us back. We'd love to celebrate. Celebrate? They wanted to celebrate now? I deleted the message without finishing it. Vivian found me staring out the office windows, lost in thought. They'll keep trying, she warned. Success attracts people who abandoned you. Let them try, I said quietly. I'm just getting started. They showed up at my office. All four of them, my mother, father, Donna, and Orlando. My assistant, Kelly, buzzed me nervously. Emily, there are people here claiming to be your family. I could hear my mother's voice in the background, loud and demanding. Tell her it's her mother. She'll see us. I should have had security remove them. Instead, I let them in. I needed to see them to measure how much I'd changed against how much they'd stayed the same. They walked into my office like they owned the place, taking in the mahogany desk, the city view, the framed Forbes cover. My mother moved to hug me. I stepped back. Emily, she began, her voice sugary sweet. We've been trying to reach you. Why haven't you returned our calls? I sat behind my desk, creating physical distance. What do you want? My father cleared his throat, like he was about to deliver some profound wisdom. Is that any way to greet your family? We raised you better than this. The audacity was breathtaking. You raised me to believe I was worthless, I said calmly. You raised me to think my dreams were embarrassing. You laughed when I said I'd succeed. Donna rolled her eyes. We were trying to protect you from disappointment. You were so naive. I was passionate, I corrected. There's a difference. What do you want? Orlando leaned forward, his voice oily smooth. We want to be part of your life again. You're successful now. We can put the past behind us. The truth crystallized in that moment. They didn't want me. They wanted access to what I'd built. My mother pulled out her phone, showing me photos. Look, we've been telling everyone about you. We're so proud. Your cousin's daughter wants to intern with you. Your aunt needs a dress for. Stop, I interrupted, my voice cutting through her charade. You don't get to be proud now. You don't get to claim me after trying to break me. The room fell silent. Then my father's mask slipped. Listen, Emily, we need to discuss something important. Your mother and I are having some financial difficulties. We invested poorly, and we're facing significant debt. We're family. Surely you could. How much? I interrupted, cutting to the chase. He looked relieved that I'd asked. 300,000. It would help us keep the house, maintain our lifestyle. You have millions now. It's nothing to you. I laughed. Actually laughed. The sound was bitter even to my own ears. Let me understand this. You told me I'd fail. You mocked my dreams. You let me become homeless rather than support me. And now you want $300,000? Donna jumped in, her voice sharp. We're family, Emily. You don't turn your back on family. You turned your back on me. I shot back, my voice rising. When I needed you most, you celebrated my departure. Now you need me and I'm supposed to forget? Orlando stood up, aggressive. You've changed. Money's made you cruel. No, I said softly, my voice laced with steel. Pain made me strong. There's a difference. My mother tried a different approach, tears welling up in her eyes. We made mistakes. We were afraid for you. The fashion industry is brutal. We didn't want you to get hurt. It was the manipulation that killed me. The rewriting of history to paint themselves as protective rather than destructive. You weren't afraid for me. You were embarrassed by me, I said, my voice flat. You cared more about what people thought than about my happiness. I stood, signaling the meeting's end. I won't give you money. I won't give you access to my life. You had a daughter who loved you unconditionally. You destroyed that. Now you have a stranger who owes you nothing. My father's face hardened, his eyes filled with resentment. You'll regret this. We're still your parents. And you'll regret what you did to me, I replied, my voice steady. The difference is I'm at peace with my choices. After they left, I couldn't shake a nagging feeling. Something about their desperation felt off. I hired a private investigator, a woman named Diana Miller. I want to know everything about my family's finances, I told her. Something doesn't add up. Diana was thorough, bordering on obsessive. 3 weeks later, she returned with a folder thick with documents. Your parents aren't just in debt, Diana explained. They're in serious trouble. They took out multiple loans against their house, invested in a pyramid scheme, and lost almost everything. But here's what's interesting. Your siblings are fine financially. Donna makes $400,000 a year as a surgeon. Orlando makes $600,000 as a partner. They could help your parents but haven't. I processed this slowly, trying to make sense of it. Why not? Diana pulled out more documents. Because your parents funded their educations completely, undergraduate, medical school, law school. Over $700,000 between them. But they refused to help with your fashion education. The investigator found old bank records. They had the money when you asked. They chose not to spend it on you. The betrayal cut deeper than I'd imagined possible. They'd had the resources to help me, but deliberately withheld them while fully funding my siblings. There's more, Diana continued, her voice grim. Your mother's been telling everyone she supported your business. She's been taking credit for your success at church in her social circles. She even implies she invested in your company. Rage, pure and crystalline, flooded through me. She what? Diana showed me Facebook posts, screenshots of conversations. My mother had created an entire narrative where she was the supportive parent who'd always believed in me. She was leveraging my success for social capital, while having contributed absolutely nothing. I want to know more, I said coldly. I want to know every store they shop at, every restaurant they frequent, every business they patronize. Everything. Diana raised an eyebrow, clearly sensing the storm brewing inside me. What are you planning? I smiled, a smile as sharp as broken glass. I'm going to teach them about consequences. I started buying things. Not impulsively, but strategically. The boutique where my mother bought her designer handbags? Purchased it. The upscale grocery store where my parents shopped? I became a majority investor. The country club where my father golfed? I bought enough membership shares to have board influence. It took 6 months and $12 million, but I built a quiet empire of businesses my family frequented. Vivian questioned my methods, her voice laced with concern. Emily, I understand you're hurt, but this feels like it's consuming you. She wasn't wrong. Every acquisition felt like armor, like protection from the people who had tried to destroy me. They tried to break me. I told her, my voice hard. I'm ensuring they can't touch me again. The real brilliance was in the subtlety. I didn't ban them immediately. I watched. I saw my mother buy a $5,000 handbag at the boutique I now owned, charging it to a credit card she couldn't afford. I saw my father spend $300 on a single dinner, money he supposedly didn't have. They were maintaining appearances while claiming poverty. My company continued growing. We hit $75 million in annual revenue. I was invited to the Met Gala. Michelle Obama wore one of my designs. Success should have been enough. But every achievement was tainted by the knowledge that my family only cared now that I was valuable. They didn't love me. They loved what I could do for them. I began implementing phase 2. Policies changed at the businesses I controlled. The boutique instituted new customer standards. The country club raised membership fees significantly. The grocery store updated their loyalty program. Nothing illegal, nothing overtly discriminatory, just business decisions that happened to impact my family. My mother called, furious, her voice shrill with outrage. The boutique won't accept my return. They said store policy changed. I played innocent, my voice dripping with false sympathy. That's unfortunate, Mom. Maybe shop somewhere else. The satisfaction was cold but undeniably real. Everything escalated at Donna's wedding. I wasn't invited, of course, but social media filled in the gaps. My sister's extravagant celebration, costing a cool $200,000 for a single day. My parents contributed $50,000. Money they supposedly didn't have. When I saw my mother's Facebook post, so blessed to celebrate our daughter's special day, something inside me snapped. They had money. They'd always had money. They just didn't want to spend it on me. I called an emergency meeting with my attorney, Richard Foster. I want to understand something. Can you legally prevent someone from shopping at stores you own? Richard looked uncomfortable, like he knew exactly where this was headed. Technically, yes, if you have cause. Refusal of service is legal if it's not discriminatory based on protected classes. But Emily, what are you planning? My parents have been lying about their financial situation, I explained, my voice tight with suppressed rage. They've been using my success for clout while refusing to acknowledge they nearly destroyed me. I want them to understand what it feels like to be cut off. Richard nodded slowly, his expression grave. I can draft something, but this will burn bridges permanently. The bridges burned 5 years ago, I said, my voice devoid of emotion. I'm just making it official. The legal letter went out to every business I owned or had influence over. The Williams family, specifically Robert, Patricia, Donna, and Orlando Williams, are no longer welcome as customers. This decision is final and non-negotiable. It was brutal. It was complete. It was necessary. The calls started within hours. My mother hysterical, her voice cracking with panic. What have you done? They won't let us in anywhere. My father threatening, his voice booming with rage. This is illegal. We'll sue. Donna desperate, her voice laced with pleading. Emily, please. This is affecting my reputation. Orlando angry, his voice dripping with venom. You've gone too far. This is psychotic. I didn't answer their calls. I sent a single text to the family group chat I'd been muted in for years. You taught me I was worthless. You cut me off emotionally and financially. Now you understand how it feels. Don't contact me again. The consequences were immediate and devastating. My parents couldn't shop at their favorite stores. The country club asked them to leave. Restaurants where I had connections suddenly had no availability for reservations under their names. It wasn't illegal, but it was socially crippling. Their social circle noticed. People talked. My mother showed up at my office again, but this time security stopped her. I watched from my window as she screamed in the lobby. I'm her mother. She can't do this to me. Kelly came to my office visibly shaken. Should we call the police? I shook my head, a cold smile playing on my lips. Let her scream. Let everyone see who she really is. The media eventually picked up the story. Not the full details but whispers. Fashion mogul Emily Williams rumored to be estranged from family. A gossip columnist reached out for comment. I declined. My silence said more than any interview could. Success was my revenge and it was complete. But victory felt hollow. Late at night, alone in my penthouse apartment, I'd remember being 7 years old, showing my mother a dress I'd drawn. She'd smiled then. A genuine smile, before life and expectations hardened her, before my siblings' achievements made my dreams seem insignificant. When did I stop being enough? Vivian found me crying one night at the office. You've built everything you dreamed of, she said softly, her eyes filled with concern. But you're not happy. Revenge isn't filling the hole they left. She was right. I'd spent years proving them wrong, acquiring power, ensuring they couldn't hurt me. But I was still hurt, still broken, still that 23-year-old crying in her childhood bedroom. What do? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Vivian hugged me tight, her warmth offering a small measure of comfort. You heal. You let go. Not for them but for you. This anger is poisoning your success. I knew she was right, but I didn't know if I could. Forgiveness felt like weakness, like letting them win. Then everything changed. 6 months after I'd cut them off, I received a call from Orlando. His voice was different, smaller, scared. Emily. Mom, she's in the hospital. She had a stroke. It's serious. My first instinct was to hang up, but something stopped me. Why are you calling me? I asked coldly, my voice devoid of sympathy. Because she's asking for you, Orlando said, his voice breaking with emotion. She keeps saying your name. Please, Emily. Whatever happened between us, she's still our mother. I went to the hospital against every instinct. My family was in the waiting room. My father, aged 10 years, Donna with red-rimmed eyes, Orlando pacing anxiously. When they saw me, the room froze, all eyes on me. How is she? I asked, directing the question at the nurse instead of them. The nurse looked between us, sensing the palpable tension in the air. She's stable but weak. The stroke affected her speech and mobility. She's in room 412 if you'd like to see her. I walked past my family without acknowledging them. Their presence a heavy weight on my chest. My mother looked small and vulnerable in the hospital bed, frail in a way I'd never seen before. When she saw me, tears streamed down her face, her eyes filled with a mix of relief and shame. Emily, mine. She struggled to say my name, the stroke stealing her words. I sat beside her bed, maintaining a carefully constructed emotional distance. She grabbed my hand with surprising strength. Sorry, she managed to choke out, her voice raspy and weak. So sorry. The words she should have said 5 years ago. The apology that came only when she was broken, only when she had nothing left to take from me. I wanted to feel vindicated. Instead, I felt numb, just utterly tired. Why now? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Why are you sorry now when you're helpless? Is it real? Or do you just need me again? She squeezed my hand, tears flowing freely down her cheeks. My father entered the room then, and for the first time in my life I saw him cry. We were wrong, he said simply, his voice thick with emotion. About everything. We were wrong. The months that followed revealed the full, unvarnished truth. My father, broken by guilt and my mother's condition, finally explained everything. They pushed me away not because they didn't believe in me but because they did. You were always the most talented, he admitted in the sterile hospital cafeteria, his voice laced with regret. Donna and Orlando, they were safe. They followed paths we understood. But you were brilliant in ways that scared us. We worried the world would destroy you, so we tried to destroy your dreams first. The twisted logic of traumatized parents projecting their fears onto their children. It didn't excuse what they'd done, but it explained it. My mother never fully recovered. She remained partially paralyzed, her speech permanently impaired. I hired the best therapists, paid for everything, but I didn't forgive. I couldn't. My siblings tried to reconcile, their voices filled with remorse. Donna confessed she'd been jealous my entire life. You were always more creative, more special, she admitted, her voice choked with emotion. I became a doctor because it was expected. But you followed your heart. I hated you for that courage. Orlando admitted he'd bullied me because our parents praised his achievements but never noticed when I tried to share mine. I listened to their confessions in my office, surrounded by the empire I'd built from their rejection. I appreciate your honesty, I told them, my voice flat. But it doesn't change what happened. You had years to support me. You chose cruelty. I've chosen to move forward without you. My company hit $2 billion in valuation. Forbes did another feature, Emily Williams, building an empire on her own terms. I sat for the interview, and when they asked about family, I was honest. I learned that blood doesn't guarantee loyalty. I built this company alone because I had to, and it made me stronger than I would have been with their support. The interviewer asked if I'd forgive. I considered them. I mulled over the images of my mother struggling to get her words out, my father's heartbreaking tears, and the belated remorse of my siblings. Forgiveness, I stated, finally breaking the silence, isn't something you extend to those who have caused you pain. It's a gift you give yourself, a means to progress beyond the hurt. I've moved on. They're welcome to do the same, but not with me involved. On the night the article was released to the world, I stood in my opulent penthouse, gazing out at the sprawling city I had worked so hard to conquer. Vivian's name flashed across my phone. Your mother read the article, she informed me. Your father said she was deeply moved and cried. I felt absolutely nothing. That was the most devastating aspect of it all. Not anger anymore. Simply an empty void where love had once resided. My hard-earned success tasted like ash in my mouth, because the very people who should have been cheering me on had transformed it into a weapon to use against me. I had emerged victorious. I had meticulously built an empire from the ground up. I had definitively proven them all wrong. But victory felt like a solitary crown, worn by someone who had long forgotten how to trust in the power of love. My phone lit up with an incoming text message from my father. You were absolutely right to sever ties with us, it read. We were deserving of it. I sincerely hope that you eventually find the peace that we unjustly stole from you. I deleted the message without any response. Some wounds, no matter how much time passes, never fully heal. Certain betrayals cut too deeply to ever be forgotten. Some families are best loved from a safe distance or not at all. I made a donation of $10 million to a scholarship fund specifically for aspiring young designers from struggling families. Kids who, much like I once was, are brimming with dreams that their families either cannot or will not support. If I was unable to rescue myself from the deep-seated pain, perhaps I could save others from experiencing that crushing feeling of worthlessness when they are, in reality, priceless. The fashion empire stood tall and unwavering. The family, however, did not. And I finally arrived at a profound understanding. You don't require their validation or approval. when you possess your own unwavering self-belief. If this story resonated with you, please feel free to like, subscribe, and share your own personal story in the comments below. Sometimes the family that we choose and build for ourselves can be far stronger and more supportive than the one we were born into. Always remember that your dreams are valid and worth pursuing, even when the people who should be your biggest cheerleaders fail to support them. Thank you so much for watching.